Hi guys, Buildzoid here. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a filler video, but unlike some of my other filler videos, which have no like functional value whatsoever. Today we're actually taking a look at something that is useful information. It's just like a year or two, probably more like 2 years late. Um, so yeah, the system I have here is a Core i9-10900K on a Gigabyte Z590 Aorus Master. The motherboard was provided by Gigabyte. Then we have some Corsair Dominator Samsung B-die based DIMMs in there. They're single rank. Oh, it doesn't say that it's single rank in the system specs. Well, I told you it's single rank. Anyway, yeah, so some single rank Samsung B-die in there. And what we're going to take a look at today is how to change the round-trip latency timings on Gigabyte Z590 motherboards, as well as Z490 motherboards. And this might also work on their Z390 motherboards, but I've never tried it, so I don't know if it does. But yeah, if you have a Z490 or a Z590 Gigabyte board and a 10th gen CPU, this is how you change the RTL. This is how you like change the RTL timings. And now, why would you want to change the RTL timings? Well, RTL stands for round trip latency. These are basically timings that, if I'm not mistaken, measure basically the delay from sending a command. I think it's a read command from the memory controller to the memory controller actually receiving data back from the memory stick. I'm not sure what it's measured in, but I do know how to change it, which for the longest time I didn't know how to do this. So huge thank you to the person who told me on a live stream how to do this, because yeah, without them, this video wouldn't be possible. And they told me a long time ago. Unfortunately, at the time that I was told, I just didn't make this video. I don't really know why. I'm sure I had an incredibly stupid reason for why I didn't make this video back when I was first told how to do this. Anyway, so let's take a look at this. Look at what we're going to be working with here. I mean, well, we've looked at the specs. I mean, like the actual settings. So the Corsair memory kit right now is running 4133 CL16 because it's freaking B-die, so it does that. It's not complete. Actually, it might be stable, but it probably isn't. This memory kit isn't amazing, isn't particularly great, but yeah, so it's like I've not run a memory stress test, but if you have a good memory kit, something like this should definitely be doable. And actually, you know what, I'm going to change my display settings because we're not really going to have a lot of stuff on the screen at the same time. We're just going to have MLC for our memory latency testing, and we're going to have memtweak it. And we're also going to go to the BIOS because you can't change the round-trip latency timings from the OS. So the round-trip latency timings, you can see, if you're using memtweak it, you can see it in the timings number 4 tab. And basically, you have a round-trip latency for every rank of memory on each memory channel. So like latency channel A, and then you have latency channel B. And you can see that since this is a single rank memory setup, rank 0 is 85, like DIMM 0 rank 0 is 85, DIMM 0 rank 1 is 85 because it's not populated. Then DIMM 1 rank 0, this is the actual memory rank that we do have, right, because single rank memory, so that's at 68 right now. And then rank 1, DIMM 1 is 85 because it's unpopulated. And if you look at the I/O latency timings, you can see 4414 for the rank that's actually present, and then another 4 for the rank that isn't present. And so, and on channel B, we have sort of the same thing, except the round trip latency is longer because channel B is physically further away from the memory. Well, it ends physically further away from the memory controller. So what that basically means is this DIMM, this far DIMM slot, this is channel B, this is channel A. So because channel A is closer to the CPU, it actually ends up with a slightly lower round-trip latency, even if you have the same I/O latencies, as we shall see once we get to tuning the timings. But yeah, so you have like you'll basically always have a slight difference between the two channels in terms of round-trip latencies. On DDR4, this is actually extreme because you have 4 memory channels and they all end up at like different distances. And so round-trip latencies on DDR5 are just completely all over the place, and that's completely normal. On DDR4, you're generally going to have like a 1 or 2 tick, I think it's clock cycles. So you end up with a 1 or 2 value difference between your round trip latencies between the two memory channels. And also, if you have more DIMM slots, they're like, because if you're on a daisy chain topology, your memory, like each memory slot is actually at a different distance from the memory controller. So if you had multiple memory sticks, you would also end up with like different round trip latency values for each of the memory sticks. But we're using single rank because I couldn't be bothered to pull 4 sticks of BDI out of my memory collection. Anyway, so right now our best memory latency in Intel memory latency checker is 38.2 nanoseconds, and we can do a lot better than that by just tuning our round trip latencies. We're not going to touch any of the other timings. We're just going to improve the round trip latencies. And so we're going to go into the BIOS and do that now. We should be able to get this down to about 35 nanoseconds in Intel latency checker. So here we are in the BIOS, and we're just going to go to advanced memory settings, and we're going to go all the way to the end. And here you can see our I/O latencies and our round trip latencies. And the way this basically works is that for every if you reduce your I/O latency by 1, you reduce the corresponding round trip latency by 1 as well. So if I want to go from an I/O latency of 15 to 14 here, also, if you're looking at this, like, why is there a 14 and a 15 next to each other? Gigabyte BIOS things. This, you can see, like, this is channel B, so we only care about the channel B column for here. So we're going from 15 to 14, and then over here we have 14 right now. We're going to keep that at 14, because I want to show you the difference between the two channels. So for channel A, we're at 68, so we're just going to set 68, because I'm not changing, right? Channel A on like auto values trains 6814, so we're going to keep that 6814, but channel B trains 7015, and so we're going to go from 7015 to 6914. And this isn't going to do anything to our performance, but you can just make this adjustment. Well, what else I'll try, like what we're also going to try is we're going to try 6814, because that should not post. So we're just going to go straight into the BIOS again. No need to go into Windows just yet, because this isn't going to make a performance difference. Generally speaking, you need to change your timings by quite a bit more than just 1 in order to see anything significant. So yeah, we just went from 7015 to 6914, and now if we try 6814, which is like the same as what you have on channel A, it shouldn't post. I'm not 100% certain that it won't post, but it shouldn't. Oh, come on. Oh. No, yeah, okay, it doesn't post. I was really worried that it would post, but no, it won't. Yeah, so if you tried to set your memory channels to the same thing, that doesn't work. So we're just going to clear the CMOS right now. So the old Gigabyte motherboards didn't yet have, so on like Z690 motherboards, Gigabyte, actually I think this board might have that, but on Z690, Gigabyte has a rebindable reset button that you can use as a safe boot button. But even on old Gigabyte boards like this one right here, you do have the last known good function in the BIOS, which means that even if you clear CMOS, you can just load the last known good. But then you do need to retrain. You can't just go from cleared CMOS to manually setting your RTLs. That tends to upset the motherboard, in my experience. I mean, we could try that. I was kind of hoping to keep this video short, but screw it. There, so we're back in the BIOS. The moment I decided to do something other than what I knew was definitely gonna work, the chances of this video being short just disappeared. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go straight to 1514. Actually, no, we're gonna go straight to 1414. That should be safe, and we're gonna go 69, 68. That should just work. And if it doesn't, we can clear CMOS and use the last known good function again. Hey, it worked. Right? Yeah, it worked. Now, admittedly, I didn't go straight to like tight RTLs, but I went to something other than auto, so yeah. Anyway, so we're back at 4133 CL16 again. And now we're going to go for RTLs that are like actually good. So basically, if you're not sure, like if you haven't tested ahead of time, like if you're not cheating like I am, because I've already tested this ahead of time, so I know where this bottoms out. But if you haven't tested ahead, like if you don't know where your system maxes out for your round trip latencies, basically you would want to go like 13, 67, and you can change both channels at the same time. They should be able to do like the same thing. So you do like 67, 68 with 13, 13. You would check that this posts. On this system, that'll work. Then you'll try like 66, 67 with 12, 12. Check that it boots. I mean, we'll just do that quickly. And you'll just go through this like, lowering the IO latencies and the round trip latencies at the same time like this. And eventually you're going to hit a point where you can't lower them anymore because it will stop posting. And for this setup, I know for a fact that it's below 7 on the IO latencies. So we're just going to skip to that point, and I'm going to show you what the performance uplift... Oh, no. No. This bug. The auto. Oh, yeah. Yep, okay, I broke the BIOS. That's not like a stability thing. This happens if you click and so there's like one setting. If you click enter on it and then you try to open something, it just breaks. So good job, me. It's fine. We can just turn it on again. That's what I get for trying to rush through the menus. Yeah. Anyway, advanced memory settings is what I actually wanted. So now if we go down here, we're just going to skip to from 12 to 7. So going from 12 to 7 is a difference of 5. So our corresponding RTL is going to go from 67 to 62. Also, minus 5. And then from 12 to 7 for channel A, again, that's just another reduction by 5. So we're going to go from 66 to 61. And now we're going to save and reset, and we're going to run Intel Memory Latency Checker again. And originally we were getting something over 38 nanoseconds of latency, if I remember correctly. You can correct me by just rewinding the video if you want to, but I'm pretty sure I remember that it was 38 nanoseconds-ish, and right now we should be getting something under 36 nanoseconds, thanks to the improved round-trip latencies. So let's go back to full screen. We're going to pull up memtweakit just to check that everything is set correctly. So yeah, all of our timings are the same, but now we have 61, 62 with 7, 7 on our RTLs. And now we're going to run latency checker. I'm going to go for latency. Rescale it, and there. Now this OS is a bit full, like this OS is a bit of a mess, so we might have to run it twice, because sometimes it doesn't perform quite right, especially right after a boot. Yeah, so right now, like this indicates that something is running in the background and screwing over the benchmark, which is not surprising considering how much crap is on this OS. So yeah. Like basically, if your latency results in memory latency checker, if there's like weird latency spikes in it, it means you have garbage in the background. Because pretty much as the inject delays get bigger and bigger, which what the inject delay is how many memory requests are being made in like rapid succession. So like this is like spamming read requests. And then as you go down, this is like very infrequent requests. Actually, I think the latency goes up if I just move the mouse around. Yeah. Stop moving them out. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, there's garbage running. Yeah, you shouldn't have like big gaps between the various latency tests. So we do get under 36 nanoseconds. In fact, we might get under 35. Yeah, we get under 35 nanoseconds. So on the like really infrequent memory accesses, we get like a pretty significant reduction in latency. We're just going to rerun that because obviously I was moving the mouse around and there was garbage still from the system starting up, and I have to click the run button twice on the UI because the UI is a bit buggy as well. Yeah, also now we have more memory bandwidth on that first test by a slight amount. But now we don't have that big, like, going from 113 to 120 nanoseconds. Because that really, like, it shouldn't happen unless you have garbage getting in the way of the benchmark. Anyway, so yeah, you can see how tuning your RTL timings like this will like potentially drastically improve memory latency depending on how bad the like auto timings are versus whatever you manually set. This doesn't work on 11th gen or 12th gen CPUs. I don't know how to set RTLs on those. Hopefully somebody tells me on a live stream again someday, but as far as I know, for 11th gen and 12th gen, you basically just have to rely on the motherboard's BIOS knowing, like, being configured to train RTLs better. I am not aware of any way to, like, manually go in and change the RTLs after the fact. So, yeah, but if you're on 10th gen, you can do this. On 9th gen, this works the same way, but I'm not sure if it works on Gigabyte boards. So, like, I'm not sure if you can do this on Z390 motherboards. It doesn't hurt to try. Worst case scenario, it'll not post. But yeah, anyway, and the last thing I want to show you is what happens if you try to set your RTL latencies too low. And it's also worth noting that these do affect your memory stability. So if you have an overclock that's stable with like auto RTLs of like 68, 70, 14, 14, well, 68, 69, 14, 14, or like 68, 70, 14, 15, which is what this board trains on auto for these memory settings. If you go from something like that to like 77, 61, 62, which is what we have right now, there's a decent chance that it'll, like, if the auto values are stable and then you go to something really tight, it might not be stable anymore. So you might need to, like, you'll have to basically redo your memory. Like, well, you probably might need like more voltage on the memory or more memory controller voltage, that kind of thing. Yeah. Also, the RTLs are specific to your cast latency, cast write latency, I think some of the tertiaries, and your memory speed. So anytime you change the memory speed or your cast latency, you need to redo your RTLs. Like, you need to set them back to auto, and then adjust them. So yeah, anyway, we're at 61, 62 right now, so we're going to go to 60, 61, and 66, and this shouldn't be able to post. So we go like 6.6, and also I'll just save a profile, RTL demo. There we go, and we're going to do F10, and this shouldn't post. Admittedly, I did all of my pre-testing at 4266, not 4133, so maybe I'll look like an idiot. Oh no? Okay, no, it doesn't post. Right? This doesn't train, right? Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so we're going to hit the clear CMOS. And we're gonna use last known good right now because last known good is really convenient. Anyway, so yeah, so 6 doesn't work, and now if I want to change the oops. What did I change? Oh no. What did I change? Oh, I changed the DR timing. Okay, that doesn't matter. So that wouldn't have caused any issues, I don't think. But anyway, so now if you want to change like your memory speed, well actually let's see if this just retrains as is. Hopefully it does. But now if I wanted to go to like 4266, I would actually have to set the RTLs back to auto. Because they need to be different values. Or actually, if I wanted to go to a lower speed as well, so... yeah, so that fires right up. But anyway, let's say I wanted to go to like 3866 now, right? Then save and reset, and it should just keep failing. Yeah. So again, that will not work. I'm going to give it one more attempt, and yeah, we're just going to clear CMOS now. So if you want to change your, like, if you set up your RTLs at one speed with one set of timings, and then you want to change your memory speed, you need to set the RTLs back to auto, see what the motherboard trains, and then manually tune them down from that. So, yeah. Oh no, the board's in that weird... boot. There we go. Hitting the clear CMOS while the board is still technically running doesn't always work out quite the way you expect it to. On modern motherboards, it is generally safe to do that. Like, I think on old boards you might be able to corrupt your BIOS if you just grab the clear CMOS, but yeah, most boards will just let you clear CMOS while the board is running. So yeah, it's just sometimes on some boards you'll get stuck in like a weird state where it's like, oh, it's not trying to turn on or turn off. So that's what happened there, and it's just like, oh, hold the power button. Anyway, I think at this point you get the point, though. Like, I could demonstrate what happens if I just change the cast latency and how it doesn't post again if you don't set the RTLs back to auto. So if I load up last known good again, which the last known good basically stays around until you turn off the power supply. Basically until you cut the 5-volt standby power, I think. You have a last known good. Also, the last known good is set when you go into Windows. So if your motherboard makes it through the post process and you get like the Windows loading screen, that at that point you have a last known good profile. Until you hit the Windows loading screen, you do not have a last known good. So if you're just going back and forth between like between the BIOS and like if you're just constantly going into the BIOS, that's not going to work. Anyway, so we're just going to boot the last known good, and then I'm going to change the cast latency, and it's not going to work anymore because the RTLs are specific for a certain set of timings. Now, there are timings that don't affect the RTLs. For example, TRCD doesn't affect the RTLs. But cast latency does. So actually, you know what? I will show you that. So as you can see, we've booted 4133 with the 77 RTL, IO latencies and 6162 RTLs, right? And now if I go and change the TRCD to like 22 or something, that's perfectly fine. That'll still post. But if I change the cast latency from 16 to 17, it won't post anymore. Yeah, so that boots right up. But now if I go from 16 to 17, it should fail. Because you're, I think it's cast latency, cast write latency, and like there's a couple other timings that I think are involved with it. But yeah, basically, if you're not sure, set your RTLs back to auto, change your primary, change whatever other timings you want to change, and then do your RTL tuning. As you can see, it's no longer posting again. So yeah, anyway, that's it for the video. If you were wondering how to change RTLs on Gigabyte Z590, Z490 motherboards with 10th gen Intel CPUs, this is how you do that. And you can get better memory latency. And if you push your RTLs too low, your stability is going to go straight to hell, which is the same as if you if you push any of your other timings too low. So, yeah, that's it for the video. So hopefully you found this somewhat useful. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. If you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I have a Patreon. There is a link to that down in the description below. There's also the AHOC Teespring store where you can pick up shirts, hoodies, posters, the usual YouTuber merch. And then I also have a Bandcamp, and there's a link to that down in the description below as well. So, yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.